All right, listen, Digger Phelps is on the line. Let's go to him now. Coach, how did tonight go with Robert Montgomery Knight, the General's first night in the studio? You were styling with him. I watched.
Scott, he's unbelievable, and all we remember is that some punky student back at Indiana and Bloomington back in the mid-'80s really motivated him, and I'm going to put him on right now. You owe me big for this, Scott. Make sure now you buy one house in New Orleans. You get $120,000. It's a done deal. Here's Bob Knight.
Oh, my gosh, this is the greatest moment. I've waited.
When do we get the bill for the house?
I've waited 20 years for this. Now, Coach, I was there from 83 to 87. I worked for the old legend Joe Smith at WB. I know you don't care about any of that. I had specific things I wanted to ask you about. Some of my favorite stories of you when I was around you. I learned so much being around you at Assembly Hall every day and going to IU. I went to IU because they wouldn't let me into Notre Dame. Can you tell me your reflections on, I used to love when you talk about these people in this order. A reaction to each one of them is all I'm asking from you. Tate's Lock.
Well, Tate's was a really good friend and a really good coach.
Pete Newell.
Pete Newell probably understood basketball at both ends of the floor better than anybody I've ever known. And I made a comment about him last week when I inducted him, or presented him rather, for induction into the San Diego County Hall of Fame, saying that so many times you hear the phrase, the game has passed him by. As far as Pete is concerned, the game has never caught up to Pete.
Don Haskins.
Haskins is one of the great throwbacks to coaching. He's a tremendous defensive coach, and having played for Henry Iba at Oklahoma, then A&M, Don is a guy that maintained a tremendous loyalty for his coach. I've not had, in my career in coaching, I've not had a better friend than Don Haskins.
Hank Iba.
Well, he, like Pete, left a tremendous shadow across the game of basketball because of what he contributed to it. And I think there is probably not a single coach today, most of whom would not know they're doing it, but not a single coach today who doesn't do something that was initiated or developed by Henry Iba.
Your feelings about, and I know you love baseball, and I do too, and I used to love listening to you talk about your love of the game, and to see you go to games and hang out with two of my heroes and a good friend of mine who's been on my show many times, Tony La Russa.
Well, Tony is one of my favorite people in sports or in life in general because of his dedication to his job, his energy that he has for the job, and his love that he has for the game that he's a part of. And I feel very privileged over a lot of years to be allowed a great insight into the game of baseball through Tony and his team.
Ted Williams.
Well, Ted Williams was my all-time favorite performer in any sport. I remember as a kid seeing him hit 4 ground rule doubles in Cleveland Stadium, in a Lakefront Stadium, in a doubleheader against the Indians, and I was always intrigued by his desire to keep a lot of things that he did, very, very good things for people, out of the public eye, out of the press. He was a guy that marched to his own drummer, and I really had a tremendous respect for him in that regard. And one of the things that was probably one of the real highlights of my life was from the late 80s on, through a good friend of mine who was the chief major league scout for the Orioles, and for Earl Weaver, Jimmy Russo, I got to meet Ted and got to know him and got to spend time with him, including a fishing trip that we made to Russia. And my memories of the times that I spent with Ted on that trip and at his home in Florida are among my very best.
Where is and I just got a couple more for you. I love you so much. If you only knew how highly I think of you, Coach. I kid you not, I went to Indiana so I could be around you. I was 18 years old when I started covering the basketball team. The final game I covered was at the Superdome when Smart hit the shot from Thomas, the dish in the corner. What a great Final Four with the UNLV game, and then the Syracuse down 13 with 3 minutes to go. You're the most brilliant coach I've ever seen in my life. Coach a basketball team with skills that weren't as high as others. But where is the best place in the world to fly fish?
The best place in the world to fly fish, if I told you where it was, Scott, it would no longer be the best place in the world.
How much pride and love do you have to watch your sons accomplish what they have and the success that they've had in life? And so many of my friends, guys like Isle and all the kids that you coach that amounted to something in life, whether it's in business, becoming doctors, becoming teachers, getting into the world and becoming something of themselves. I know how much education meant to you your entire career from West Point to Lubbock. You have to be so proud of them, and you have to be thrilled at where Pat is headed, and how do you think he'll do with the Red Raiders? And you handed him a huge responsibility, and I know he's ready for it. I remember watching